Hi everyone, it's me, Tommy. So before I start my collection, I want to show you my PS2. Yes, that's the PS2. This console was released in 2000, which is 25 years ago. It plays PS2 games, DVDs, music CDs, and also PlayStation 1 games because most of the PS1 games are backwards compatible to the PS2. It was still one of the best-selling gaming consoles ever. And this was the GOAT of all consoles, a legendary console, and also a perfect console for all the gamers and PlayStation fans. So, enough said. Let's talk about my PlayStation 2 games collection. Here are my PS2 games. So let's start the collection. The first game in my collection, it was the first PlayStation 2 game I brought. It's Tekken Tag Tournament 1, the original Tekken Tag Tournament. So this is the first PlayStation 2 game that I brought, and it's actually a quite fun game. And it was released in 2000, which is 25 years ago, which is the same year as the PlayStation 2 came out. Next game in my collection, Tekken 4. This was released 2 years after Tekken Tag Tournament. So it's the front side and the back. And this is the game that brings back Kazuya. And this was the first Tekken game where Jack isn't a playable character. So here is the discs, including the game, and a bonus DVD. I really liked how the PS2 games put special DVDs in a game case. I really miss those days. Next up, Tekken 5, which came out in 2005, which is 20 years ago, and that was the best Tekken game on the PS2. And it includes the arcade versions of the first three Tekken games and Starblade as a bonus feature. I really liked it how some of the games added classic arcade games as a bonus feature. I really missed these days. Next up, Soul Calibur 3. This game came out in 2005, which is the same year as Tekken 5. This is the first the first Soul Calibur game to have a character creation option, and it includes Chronicles of the Swords mode, which is a ton of fun. Next up is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. Well, why discover the PS2 back in 2002 during my holiday in England? I was very surprised at that one, and this is the first PS2 game that I tried out. So here's the front, side, and back, and it includes Darth Maul in it as a bonus character. So the next game I have in my collection is The King of Fighters 11. This game was published by Ignition Entertainment and SNK. Here's a front, side, and back. This was released in 2007, which is the same year when I first discovered Happy Tree Friends, and the same year as Tenkaichi 3, Super Mario Galaxy, Phantom Hourglass, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, and Shin Budokai 2, or Shin Budokai Another Road. Oh, speaking of Dragon Ball Z, here's some of my Dragon Ball Z games from my PS2 games collection. It's Dragon Ball Z Budokai 1, the one that started the Budokai series and the game that makes the Dragon Ball Z games better, and a breath of fresh air after Dragon Ball Final Bout. This was released in 2002. So here's the front, side, and back. And this game starts with the Saiyan saga, ends with the Cell Game saga. And here is the disc. So this is the first Dragon Ball Z game that I brought while going to the shop with my mom. This was back in 2004 when I brought that game. Next up in my collection, Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2. This is the first Dragon Ball Z game that I played. This game was released a year after the first Dragon Ball Z game. This cover looks pretty cool. It's got Goku in Super Saiyan form, Goku in Super Saiyan 3 form, Vegito, and the final boss of Dragon Ball Z, Kid Buu, or Majin Buu. Here's a front, side, and back. There's the disc. This is actually quite a fun game. Next up, Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3, one of my favourite games on the PS2 and also one of my favourite Dragon Ball Z games of all time. I got this game for Christmas back in 2004, which is 20 years before Dragon Ball Sparking Zero came out, or 20 years before I got Dragon Ball Sparking Zero for Christmas. Yep, I got Budokai 3 for Christmas back in 2004. I had so many good memories playing that game. Well, it's still a fun game and one of the best Dragon Ball Z games ever made. Next up, another anime-based game. Saint Seiya, Le Chevalier du Zodiac, La Centrale, or Saint Seiya the Sanctuary. A game that is based on the classic anime of the 80s and also based on the Sanctuary arc. Here's a front, side, and back. So the text is in French, so the game was also in French language and Japanese language. So the text is in English when you would select the English language. And here's the disc. Yeah, that game wasn't well received on mouse gaming related sites, but it looks actually quite fun to play. I brought this game at the car boot sale back in 2006. And I had a lot of good memories playing it, but it's still fun to play. Next up is Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 2. Yep, I got this game from my grandma back for Christmas back in 2007, and I had a lot of fun playing that game. I spent many hours playing on that game, and this is a ton of fun. Next up, Super Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, I brought this game in 2007, long ago, when I'm in England, and this is a bit of a fun game to play, but not as good as the Budokai games or the Tenkaichi games, but it's still fun. Next up, another Dragon Ball Z licensed game, Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3. Yes, this is one of the rarest games I have in my collection, still one of the best Dragon Ball Z games I ever played. I got this for my birthday along with Pokemon Pearl back in 2007, and I had a lot of good times, good memories playing that game. Next up, another game that is based on a TV show from the 2000s, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, a game that is based on the 4Kids reboot of the same name. Here's a front, side, and back. And this game was made by Konami, like most of the old Ninja Turtles games from the 90s and in the late 80s. Next up, Guilty Gear X and Guilty Gear X2. And another game I have, Sonic Mega Drive Collection. This game includes 27 Mega Drive games like Sonic 1 and 2, Phantasy Star 4, Super Thunder Blade, Sword of Vermilion, Vector Man, and many more. And for those who never owned the Mega Drive, this is actually a good one. For those who are fans of retro games like myself, I got this for my birthday back in 2010 at Dynamite Games at Sarlat. Ah, those were the days. I really miss these days of going to retro game shops. Here's another retro game that came out in 2004. The original Samurai Warriors. This was released on the same year as Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. And this is the game that started the Samurai Warriors franchise. Next up is Star Wars Battlefront 2, a game that was released on the same year as Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith, and also one of the best Star Wars games ever made. And this is a ton of fun to play. You can play some of your favorite Star Wars characters, and the gameplay looks awesome, and the soundtrack looks pretty outstanding, because most of the music from that game is from the Star Wars movies. Next up is Spider-Man the movie on PlayStation 2, the game that is based on the summer 2002 movie of the same name. So here's the front, side, and back. And there is the CD. Oh, and there was a memory card in it. So I liked it how they put memory card slots on the PS2 game case, which is pretty handy for memory cards. This will be the good way to keep your memory cards safe. Oh, here's another movie license game, and the game that is based on the Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man 2, a game that is based on the 2004 movie of the same name, 2 years after the first Spider-Man movie. And this game includes the voices of Tobey Maguire, Kristen Dunst, and Fred Molina, Baldock Arkin, and travel around New York. Yes, this is actually quite fun because this is the first Spider-Man game. This is the first ever open world Spider-Man game. Yes, you can travel around New York as Spider-Man. This is a ton of fun, and here's a disc. Yes, this is a pretty fun game, and still one of the best movie-based video games ever made. And here's another open world game, Grand Theft Auto 3, the first ever 3D Grand Theft Auto game. And welcome to Liberty City. And I really liked how they put a poster and the map into the Grand Theft Auto games. Yeah, I really liked how they do that. And here's another game based on the Grand Theft Auto games, Grand Theft Auto Vice City. This game takes place in the 80s. This game was released a year after Grand Theft Auto 3. And here's another Grand Theft Auto game, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, the best Grand Theft Auto game out of all the Grand Theft Auto games on the PS2, and the best ever Grand Theft Auto game in my personal opinion. And here's a poster on the in the game case, and the CD itself, and the disc itself. And this game takes place in the 90s, which is my golden era of TV shows and cartoons and video games. And here's the game that gets me into the Dynasty Warriors franchise, Dynasty Warriors 4. This is the best Dynasty Warriors game on the PS2. And here's another one, Dynasty Warriors Empires. Dynasty Warriors 4 Empires. Dynasty Warriors 5. This was released a year after Dynasty Warriors 4 Empires, and this was released in the same year as the original Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi and Tekken 5 and Soul Calibur 3. And the game that was released a year after Dynasty Warriors 5, Dynasty Warriors 5 Empires. Yet both of these Dynasty Warriors games on the PS2 are almost as fun as the modern Dynasty Warriors games of today. or the last decade. So these are my PS2 games in the first half. So I'm going to show you the second half of my PS2 games collection really soon. Well, see you next time.